So right now, looks like the Yankees are laser focused on two guys at the trade deadline. Let's talk about them. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So there's an article out by Sanskar Dubey of Essentially Sports, who covers the Yankees, and talking about the Yankees potentially laser focusing on two particular players. And I understand even after last night's 5-4 loss, some people are like, they need 4 or 5 players or 6 players. And I get that. But that's not the reality. I would be shocked if that happens. The crazy things have happened. Cashman has had voluminous trade deadlines, and he's had impactful trade deadlines. They both will serve the Yankees well, whichever one they do. But I think it's getting the right players here are important. And the two players that the Yankees are apparently focusing on right now are Cody Bellinger from the Cubs and Tanner Scott of the Marlins. Right? Cody Bellinger, yes, former MVP, and he's on essentially a 3-year, $80 million contract, but he has an opt out after the season, and which would still, if he comes here and doesn't opt out, you still have $26-27 million on the books per season for the next 2 seasons for him. So now he does not have the maturity or the character issues that some other players that we've talked about have. So that in itself would not provide an obstacle to the Yankees re-signing him. And I don't think it would make it more difficult for them to re-sign Soto either. They do have about $100 million coming off the books after this offseason. They've got tens of millions coming off in the next couple of years. So on top of the $100 million per year. So it's going to be an interesting deadline. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Also, Cody Bellinger, I talked about this. He represents a strategic type of fit here. Okay, he could come in here as a lefty and bat number 4 between Judge and Stanton, and he could also, by doing that, it puts Alex Verdugo back to his more natural spot at 6. You can move Gleyber Torres down to like 7 or 8 if he's still here, instead of putting him at 4 or 5, where he does not belong right now. So that makes sense. Okay, the only thing that is, what would you have to give up for him? And I don't think it's going to be a massive haul for him, but the fact is the Cubs look like they're going to be sellers. They might want to offload that money. So would it cost a couple of prospects? No doubt about it. So I don't know exactly what it would cost, but Cody Bellinger, I think, would be a good fit here. And I think money has a lot of people worried about their ability to re-sign Juan Soto. But adding Juan Soto and Cody Bellinger, and I understand Ben Rice is playing first base. Well, you can, if he's not part of the trade, if they could essentially put him back at catcher where he was before, and he could platoon with Austin Wells, and they could find a potential trade partner for Jose Trevino. Now you have an offensive upgrade at catcher, an offensive upgrade at first base. Okay, that's the way I'm thinking about it from strategically. So, but it definitely represents an upgrade offensively at first base. There's no doubt about that. Okay, and he would bring a different dynamic of athleticism, and versatility, and speed, and potential contact and power to the Yankees, which they're not really getting right now from Gleyber Torres or DJ LeMahieu or Anthony Rizzo, who's hurt. It's like they're not getting it. So he would bring a dynamic, and it would represent the relatively win-now move. Okay? And again, we'll see what happens. I mean, this is going to be interesting. So, if you're not subbed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. That way you don't miss anything, because there's going to be more news to come out, more trades to come out, and so on and so forth. The Tampa Bay Rays trading Aaron Civale to the Brewers today. That's not really a big trade, but they're offloading some money to help the Brewers. So, okay. I think if the Yankees get a pitcher somehow, and the pitcher that they would acquire has got to be bigger than getting Clark Schmidt back at this point. Right? It's not going to be bigger than Garrett Cole coming back. We know this already, but it's got to be bigger than getting Clark Schmidt back, who's going to be back in probably a month. So, and maybe even less than that. So keeping that in mind, Tanner Scott, we'll pivot to him now, represents an ideal fit for the bullpen. He is an impending free agent, so his cost would not be prohibitive, but he also has a lot of suitors. So the prospect haul would be relatively significant. Not amazing, not Garrett Crochet-like. Those prospect packages are going to be insane. Tanner Scott would still, probably require a good prospect or two. Maybe in a player and a prospect. We don't know. But he would represent the perfect addition to the Yankees bullpen down a line, somebody who can basically co-close with Clay Holmes or take over if they don't feel confident in Clay Holmes any longer. He represents exactly what the Yankees need right now for the bullpen. I do think they need 2 arms in the bullpen. I do think they need 2 players in the infield. These are 1-1. The question remains is, are the Yankees willing to get both of them based on the prospect package that they gave up to get Juan Soto here and Alex Verdugo and the rest of them? So that's the question that begs to be answered. We don't know yet, okay? But the Yankees have acknowledged a strong interest in Cody Bellinger right now. They're scouting him every day hard. So Tanner Scott, it's well known that the Yankees are interested in him too. So would you be happy with those 2 guys if they came in? Would it be enough at the deadline? That's the question. I don't think any of us can answer it. It could be to a degree, and then it couldn't be to a degree. But getting an impact bat here and an impact reliever would definitely fortify some needs here, some holes that the Yankees have that they need addressing immediately. So I do think guys are probably going to be waiting. It's probably not going to happen until the trade deadline itself. So financially speaking, that would be more millions off of Cody Bellinger's contract that the Yankees would not have to pay. And keep in mind, any additional dollar at this point is essentially doubled or even a little bit more because they're over the Cohen threshold. So even if it's $10 million left on Cody Bellinger's contract, that's still going to be about $22 million here. Add that. I would imagine any trade for a guy like Cody Bellinger would have to require some offsetting salary too. Maybe a Tommy Kahnle, maybe Ron Marinaccio. I mentioned those 2 guys because they make about $5 million a year each. So if you can cut, that $5 million off the $10 million, then that $10 million, which was going to become $20 million, is now going to be $10 million because of the $5 million. So I mean, you know what I mean? You basically cut that in half by offsetting a contract. And I'm going to guess that Cashman is going to be very interested in offsetting it with a contract. So, and Tanner Scott would eventually replace a Kahnle or a Marinaccio. And they're both going to be free agents anyway. So that's key, right? But Tanner Scott and Cody Bellinger. And I'm doing a roundtable this Saturday night, by the way, with a bunch of Yankee content creators. We're going to talk about the trade deadline, what's going on, what are the ideal fits, what we think the Yankees will do versus what we think they should do. So we're going to give you both, and we'll see how consistent they are to each other, right? It's going to be different minds. We're not going to all agree, but this is going to be a good discussion of good baseball minds when it comes to the Yankees. So I'm hoping that you make yourself available if you're not celebrating the 4th of July weekend, all weekend. So it's going to be 9:30 p.m. Eastern Saturday night. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, but Cody Bellinger, Tanner Scott right now, the Yankees seem to be laser focused on both of them. What are your thoughts? Talk to y'all later. Hopefully the Yankees win tonight against the Reds. See you later.